Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you how to fill out TD1 form and also will explain you step by step on what each section means. So if you're looking to fill out a TD1 form today, please keep watching this video. Now let's start by finding out the TD1 form so we can fill that out. For that we'll first go to the Google and we'll search for download TD1 form Canada. When you do that, you will probably see the link from canada.ca. So just go to the link TD1 2023 because currently it's year 2023. So depending on which year you are seeing this particular video, you will have that year to look for. So in this case, as you can see that we have the TD1 2023 personal tax return form. Now keep in mind that this is one of the TD forms which you will have to fill up. There are other TD1 forms as well. For example, there is Federal TD1 form which we are going to fill today. There are different forms for different provinces. So let's go to the Federal TD1 form for now, which will cover almost all the basics of what you are going to fill up. And your provincial TD1 form will probably be the same when it comes to the sections. So you will figure it out on your own. I'll click on the download. So it has downloaded the file. I will open it up. And as you can see, you can open this file into either your browser or you can also open it in the Adobe Reader. So here I'm zooming it up for people who are watching on their phone, and hopefully they'll be able to see it, and I'll explain each parts of this form step by step. So why you should fill up the TD1 form? To know more about it, let's go to the page number 2 and see who should be filling up TD1 form and why you should be filling up TD1 form. Here, if you are starting your job with a new employer, or if you are receiving commissions, pensions, employment insurance benefits, you should fill up TD1 form. You should fill up TD1 form if there is a change in the amount you previously claimed. For example, the number of eligible dependents have changed, or suddenly there is an informed situation in your family. Or you can fill up this TD1 form if you started living in a prescribed zone, which I'll talk about it pretty much soon in this video. Or you can claim when there is an increase in the amount of tax deducted at the source. When you want them to increase the amount of tax that needs to be deducted, or you want to change anything in your existing condition, then you fill out this form. So let's go to the first section of it, where you'll have to fill up your details. Let's say last name, first name, your date of birth, the employee number, because this TD1 form is supposed to be given to your employer and not the government. You will have to specify your employer number, the employee number. So we'll go with 100. The address, this has to be your personal home address. So I'll put in some home address and the postal code. This section is for people who are on their temporary work permit, because technically they are not the residents of Canada. So you will have to fill up this part as well. Germany, and your social insurance number. So once we are done with all these sections, let's go into the most important piece of this form, which basically, by filling up this form, you're telling your employer that you already have these expenses coming in your way, so please reduce your overall taxable income. So when your employer calculates how much money they should be keeping aside from your income, this form will basically the reference for that. So let's start with this. The first one is basic personal amount. Here, if your salary is less than $165,430, then you can claim the full amount, which is $15,000. But if your income is more than $165,430, then you'll have to fill up an additional form, which is TD1WS, and you can probably claim the partial amount depending on how much your income is. So I am considering myself as someone who makes less than that money, so I'll put in the full amount. Canada's caregiver amount for infirm children under age of 18. So if you are caregiving a child and also making sure that the child is either physically or mentally challenged, then this is the amount you will have to put in. Remember, only one parent can do this. You'll have to put in the maximum amount of $2,499 per child, and only do this if you have an infirm child. This is only for helping out the children who need extra support. The third section is age amount. So if you will be more than 65 years old by the end of the tax year, current tax year is December 31st, 2023, because I'm making this video in 2023. So if you are going to be more than 65 and all your income will be less than $42,335, then you have to enter the amount, which is $8,396. Otherwise, just put zero in this. The fourth part is pension income amount. If you are going to receive any regular pension from a pension plan or a pension fund which is not governed by the government directly, then you will have to put down either $2,000 or the annual amount of pension income you are receiving. So for example, if you are receiving the pension income of $1,000, then you'll have to put $1,000 in it. But if you are receiving a pension income of $3,000, then you'll have to put the maximum of $2,000. The fifth part is tuition, full-time or part-time tuition fees which you have paid. Your total tuition fees for this year per institution is more than $100. Then please fill in all the tuition fees you are going to pay for the end of this year. So let's say, for example, I'm paying $5,000 by the end of this year. I'll put in here as $5,000. The sixth part is disability amount. If you are claiming the disability amount using this form called T2201, then please enter the amount of $9,428 here. This is a fixed amount which you'll have to put in if you are claiming the disability amount. Seventh part is a little bit challenging. It's about the spouse. So here what you will have to do is you will have to enter the difference between the line 1, which is this particular line, whatever the amount you have entered, and the salary of your, or the net income of your spouse. If your spouse is infirm, as well as I already explained what infirm is in the earlier part of the video, then you will have to add 2,499, which is an additional benefit which they are giving in that case. Now please understand that you can only claim this amount if these conditions meet for your spouse or common law partner. The first condition is that you are supporting them and they live with you. And the second portion of this is that their net income is less than the amount you put in line 1. So their net income has to be less than $15,000. Otherwise, you can just put zero here. The eighth portion is the amount for an eligible dependent. Here you will have to basically do the same thing. You will have to find out the difference between the line 1 and the net income of your eligible dependent if they are meeting all these conditions. The first condition is that you do not have a spouse or a common law partner, or if you have a spouse who does not live with you and you are not supporting them by any means. You are supporting this dependent and they live with you. And the third portion is that the dependent's income has to be less than the amount you mentioned in line 1. So it's pretty much same as what you are doing in the other section 7 for spouse. Here in section 7 and section 8, you'll have to make sure that you will have to go on line 9 if they are infirm and has net income of less than $26,782 for both of these sections. In the section number 8, you have to make sure that the dependent is 18 years or older. Now let's go to the section number 9. Canada's caregiver amount for eligible dependent or spouse or common law. This is for the caregiver when the receiver are infirm. As I said earlier, this section number 9 is only for the people who are caregiving an infirm, whether they are spouse or the dependent. And if their salary is less than $26,782, then you will have to technically go into the TD1 WS form and fill out the section number 9 in it. There you will receive more information on how to fill out that particular part, and the amount which you'll receive as a part of this you will enter here. Let's go to the section number 10, Canada's caregiver amount for dependent 18 or older. So if you are supporting an infirm dependent, as I said, caregiver equals supporting an infirm. Again and again, I'm stressing this out. Do not fill this sections if you are not caregiving an infirm. So if the in this case, if the dependent's age is 18 or older, and if their net income is $18,783 or less, then you'll have to enter the fixed amount of $7,999. You can calculate the partial amount if their salary is between 18,783 to 26,782. That in that case you will have to fill out the section 10 in TD1 WS form and use that amount here if it's a partial amount, which will be probably less than the actual amount of $7,999. Let's go to the section number 11, amount transferred from a spouse or common law partner. If your spouse or common law partner is basically not using the benefits, or basically if their income is even less than the overall benefit they would probably get, they can technically transfer that amount which they are not using in their income tax to you. So you can enter that amount. For example, if my spouse has gone to the university and has been paying $10,000 in fees but do not have any eligible income to claim, I can technically use that amount here and put in and reduce my income tax overall for this year. The 12th section is amount transferred from a dependent. Similarly, like your spouse or partner, if your dependent is not using all of their disability amount on their income tax, or probably they're not working at all, you can use that unused amount from either your spouse, common law, or a grandchild and put it into your section here. Let's say, for example, there is $5,000 in disability amount my dependent would ideally receive, which I can claim as a part of my income tax and reduce my income tax overall. In section number 13, you are basically summing all this thing up and putting down the final number in this section. Let's say everything sums up to $35,000, so I'll put the $35,000 here. So this is the major piece, 1 to 12 section of TD1 form on what you are going to fill up for any employer you start working with. Now let's go to the second page and fill out some of the rest of the details. If you are working for more than one employer at a time, you may have to click on this checkbox just to say that you already filled out this form for 2023 for one of the employer and you do not want to claim this tax again. If you don't do that, you might get a hefty tax which you need to pay at the end of the year. So please do this for all the other additional employers. The other piece is total income is less than the total claim amount. If your total income is less than, for this year particularly, is $15,000, but for your own years, go to the line number 1 and see how much you can claim. For this year, it's $15,000. So if your total income is less than $15,000, you tick this box, which will let your employer know that they should not deduct any tax from your income. Now, if you are non-resident, if more than 90% of your income from the world is coming from Canada, then you will have to tick yes. If more than 90% of your income is not coming in from Canada, then you have to say no. and on line 13 you have to say 0, because you technically cannot claim any amount if you are making money from outside the world and not from Canada. Now let's go to the next section, which is uh, provincial or territorial personal tax returns. As I said at the beginning of the video, that you will have to use the provincial TD1 form as well to claim the amount. Let's go to the next section. Deductions for living in prescribed zone. As I said, if you are living in any of the prescribed zones like Northwest Territories, Nunavut, Yukon, or other prescribed northern zone, I know particularly in Ontario there are some northern zones for which you can claim. So for those zones, you can claim $11 for each day you live in that zone, as long as you live for more than 6 months. You cannot claim this amount if you are living in these zones for less than 6 months. Remember, so if you are living for more than 6 months, you claim $11 for each day you lived in that zone, and you claim $22 each day you lived in that zone if at that time you live in a dwelling, you live at a place that you are maintaining yourself, and you are the only person who can claim this deduction. So that's for the deductions for living in a prescribed zone. If this changes, then you'll have to fill up this TD1 form once again. Now let's go to the next section, additional tax to be deducted. Now, if you are receiving money from other sources like CPP, or for Quebec it's QPP benefits, you'll have to add that amount here. Even if you are receiving old age security pensions, you'll have to enter that amount in this section. Now this is the last portion, the certification. You put in your signature. Either you can print it out, sign it and give it to your employer, or you can digitally sign it using Adobe Reader. For example, I can just use this draw and I can just sign it and then give it to my employer. Remember to use the latest date if it's not the latest date here already been pre-filled. Now if you are making any additional contributions which you have not claimed here, for example you are making regular contributions into your RRSPs, or you have childcare or employment expenses, obviously which you don't see the section here for, if you are doing any charitable donations, if you have any tuitions or educations amount that you are carrying forward from previous years, then you should fill out a form called T1213. You can either look into the card on the top right corner of this video, or see the link in the descriptions where I am guiding you on how to fill out T1213 form to reduce the tax income at source, and you do not have to wait till the end of the year to get that money back in your pocket. So I hope this was all helpful for all of you, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.